Hello and welcome to a very special discussion of the hit game now, I think, Clair Obscur.
It's a hit in my heart.
Okay, but that's not paying the bills, Billy.
I think
it's paying the numbers. The recent release of Clair Obscur Expedition 33 by Sandfall Interactive, which is a French studio. It's not entire. I think there's a lot of misnomers.
I think there was 4 or 5 people that are actually Ubisoft Montpellier like ex-developers. I don't think it's as many as people were saying, where it was like the entire studio is a bunch of pissed off ex-Ubisoft devs. I think there's like only 4 pissed off Ubisoft devs.
Yeah,
and they might not be as pissed as we know. You know,
I think that just took off.
They're French. They're a little pissed off.
Yeah.
That just took off because the narrative is just so easy to make of like, oh,
yeah,
Ubisoft's been putting out.
They said, "Fuck the industry. We're gonna make our own thing."
Yeah, they don't want to make what we want to make.
with cigarettes and berets. Even though that's not actually how it started. We'll get into that after.
They get pretty close. From like the first character you meet in the game is wearing like the black and white shirt with the fucking like bandana. I was like, this character is literally missing a fucking baguette, which like comes up later. So it's like they're wearing their nationality on their fucking sleeve.
The baguette comes so quick.
The fucking Eiffel Tower is just in the background of most fucking scenes.
Yeah, I mean, but it's a big monument that's all twisty and bendy in this game. So they do like it's always kind of omnipresent. And dude,
we're getting so ahead of ourselves. Today, we're just formed a select panel of people who have finished the game.
Yes,
it's me, Cameron. I don't know why the fuck I said that. Shane, Foxcade, and Billy.
Yes. So this wasn't supposed to be a thing that we were going to make at first, but after playing the game for, I don't know, 20 minutes and experiencing that the fucking intro, I was like, oh boy.
Yes.
This is gonna be a special fucking game. Like, there's no fucking way I can't talk about this. And as well, I got a free copy because I begged for it before release, and then they asked for a video, and I felt really bad about not making a video when I have been very public about the fact that I think that this video game is probably the best thing I've ever played.
Sandfall, make sure the check goes to Billy from Montreal. I know you hate Montreal because it's not France, but like, make sure it gets to the right people.
Close enough.
And we hate you guys, so like it's a mutual thing, and this is no hyperbole. This is actual war.
I think it's fair to say that we're all incredibly positive on this game. Important to note that later on in this episode, we are 100% going to be discussing the ending of the game and spoilers.
Yeah.
But as we progress through the episode, we are going to like be talking about pretty much all aspects of the game. So right off the bat, if you haven't played this game and you are at all responsive to our opinions, I guess you should go out and play this game. Try not to look things up about it, because I think with most games where the story and setting are integral to it, it's best to experience it blind, but some people need a bit more convincing. So
here's what I'll say. Steam has a very generous refund policy, and it's going to take you like less than an hour to understand if this is a game that will change your life or not. That intro is phenomenal, and if you get through that first intro in Lumière before you get into the actual expedition part of the game and you're hooked, then that's gonna do more convincing for you than my dog barking right now. Shut up.
Yeah, should we just get into talking about the intro?
Should I just hit my dog so he stops barking? Okay, sorry, bad joke.
You gotta do a gradient attack on your dog.
Dude, the sound it makes when you fucking hit that shit, oh my god, every time I'm like, yeah!
I don't hit my dog.
Yeah, but I think the intro is one of the best intros I've played in a game recently in terms of just
oh my God.
setup for the story, getting the premise is such an interesting premise that they explore in probably in just the way in which people would actually interact with that kind of thing in real life and the morality of it.
Yes. So we're going straight in, guys. Just saying, like,
yeah, they get it.
I think we're past the amount of, hey, we're gonna it's happening now. So the entire business around the Gommage is so. I feel like any other game that would try to explain it through text and like exposition towards you, it would be fucking incomprehensible because it is a complicated concept to explain. So instead of just explaining to you like, hey, when the giant woman turns the fucking age, the number up or down, rather, everybody that is that age will die. And then and like all these other fucking explanations, all they do is just the main character, Gustave, just shooting the shit with Maëlle. And Maëlle is just kind of joking about it. And she's like, you gotta hurry up, dumbass. Your fucking girlfriend's gonna gommage by the time with all the time you're wasting. And then Gustave does not find that funny. And you're kind of playing through the intro and you're like, why is he being so weird about the gommage? What does that even mean? Like, and they never explain to you until it happens.
And that's the thing. So like, last chance, if you want to go completely blind, like pause here. Cause like, this is like opening stuff, spoilers, and it is like a big impactful thing. But from here, it's like very opening spoilers we're going to get into, which is basically in the game is like, you just keep hearing about like the Gommage, and it's like it almost feels like they're doing like a little festival, but there's this like weird vibe as you're going through the city. And you're like, oh, what's going on?
It's very celebratory, too, because there's music, there's dancing, there's food, and everybody's kind of... The younger people are very cheery, and then you talk to some other people that are our age, and you're like, there's something...
Yo, weird, there's no old people.
I mean, that is a realization that you kind of make at one point where you're like, people that are in very high... I guess political standing in this like city are really young, and they don't seem prepared for any of this.
You're not seeing anyone like past middle aged. Like it's like at first I didn't think anything of it because I was like, oh, just whatever. It's just like this like festival. All the young happening people are out on the town sort of thing. So I just didn't really take anything to stock. I was like, oh, there's like a festival going on. What's this about? And then you actually get to the like, okay, we are getting into it, and it's basically a yearly Thanos snap.
Yeah.
And it's like it doesn't like stop and go, okay, we are going to explain to you the audience what this is. It's everybody just kind of solemnly accepting that it's like it's our time. And it's you'd think like there'd be like begging and pleading and oh my god, we're all going to die, but it's like this is a setting where this has become so common that like their entire existence is built around it. So there's like an acceptance. And the one thing I like about how close it holds its cards to the chest when it comes to like expressing this, and like it lets you kind of absorb these details as you go through the scene and like afterwards, is all the little details about the world building they go into with like how the life exists around the Gommage, where characters talk about how it's like, oh, we didn't want to have a kid at this age because would turn our Gommage would be in 6 years, and then our kid would be 6 when we are gone, and then their Gommage would be like even sooner. They would barely make 18 because as they're getting older, the Gommage age, like the age of like where you all evaporate, goes down a year. So it's like fucking like the timer is going down. And that's why I think the year of it being like 33 is such an interesting number to pick. I don't know if there was like a larger rationale, but it's like 33 is the age where it's like everyone is an adult. But after 33, it's like, oh, you are hitting the limit of like how many more expeditions you could send. Because like you are running out of like adults, and within like 10 years, like you don't even really have like kids being made, because like after like 30, it's like you don't have kids anymore. Like your kids wouldn't be at the age where they could do anything by the time like their number's up. So it's like, oh, this is like our backs up against the wall at this point.
They talk about it constantly as well, where it's like, okay, well, for the next generation, we've prepared ways for them to be able to eat, even if they don't have the motor skills to farm or fish or raise cattle. And it's so horrifying to hear about.
Yeah,
it's really affecting.
What's so great about this is that usually premises like this, where there's some big bad thing that's happening, is just a kind of rationale or excuse to have the plot happen. Whereas with this, it feels like they've actually spent the time to think about how this would actually affect people and the different kinds of perspectives that people would have on it. There's the one conversation when you're playing as Sophie, because you play as both Sophie and Gustave in the prologue, which is Sophie is his ex-girlfriend, which is a really interesting choice to make them his ex and not like actually dating. But regardless, she has a conversation with this lady who kind of chastises her because she doesn't have a kid. And she's talking about, and this is also really subtle, like kind of an explanation of why they might have broken up, which is a genius character writing. But they're talking about like the decision of like, this lady thinks she has a moral obligation to have a kid to like raise the next generation. Whereas Sophie's like, well, I'm not going to bring a kid into a world where they are going to have less and less time to actually live and experience things. And it's just like, it made me think, I was like, wow, they've actually thought about how people would, and the different kind of reactions people would have to this kind of like world altering, like society changing fucking thing, and really nuanced and interesting way.
And it's also like, again, like, credit to like how they kind of keep their, cards close to their chest in terms of like the reveal of it, because you get that interaction. And I, when I was going through it and just like talking to the people, I was like, oh, this is just like an average conversation you'd hear from someone that's like, why don't you have a kid? Like,
exactly,
you need to,
right.
like, propagate the race. And then another person being like, I don't want to raise a kid in this fucked up world. This place sucks. I don't want to bring a kid in this. That's like a conversation you might hear at some point in your life. And so I just thought it was like normal interaction. And then it's like, oh, this makes so much more sense now.
It has so much more weight to it than you could ever imagine because of the world that they live in. And what the hell, man? The writing is phenomenal throughout the entire game. It never drops the ball.
I don't know if you guys felt that, but I felt like that might have been the reason why Gustave and Sophie broke up.
That's what I think. That's what I think, because
he wanted kids and she didn't.
Either that or the fact that she loves him so much, and knowing that her Gommage is coming, she didn't want to leave him just because he's 32. So she didn't want to leave him an entire year of Gustave just being fucked up during his expedition,
which is really interesting considering like the just broad themes of this game, where it's like all about like loss and grief, and like the fact that the Gommage is like the like opening note of the game in a story that's all about just like how we deal with loss and death is like very interesting when you get further into it, and it's like about dealing with those emotions and like how you like bereave someone.
Like the prologue as well is so relatively short in comparison to the rest of the game, but it makes you connect with Sophie as a character, and like you really like know what kind of person she is and like how she exists in the world. And then you get all of these other little details about how people are living in Lumière, and why the expeditions are happening, and like because you kind of just like after the Gommage you have a conversation with your sister as Gustave, and she's like you're psyching her up for the speech, and she's really pessimistic. She's like, you guys are all just gonna go die, this is fucking pointless. And then Gustave is like, you have to make the speech or else people are just gonna give up. Like the whole point of the expeditions isn't necessarily to like stop, it is to stop the paintress, right? But it's it's so people in Lumière don't just give up. They have something each year, after the Gommage. You don't just go into a fucking depressive state because you've got, you're 1 year closer to just everything being dead.
Yeah.
It's, God.
It's such a good setup, and I don't know about you guys, but like when I was on the harbor and they kept talking about the paintress on the first go, I didn't realize there was a giant woman sitting there.
No, neither did I.
I'm not gonna lie, I literally got really scared when I saw it. The giant fucking woman just stand up super creepily and then just like write 33 on the monolith. I was like, what the fuck? How did I not notice this giant crying woman? It was horrifying. It's such a fucking powerful image.
Well, and the fact that like the 33 is like always like looming overhead is like also a nice touch, where it's just like every cutscene, it's like in the background.
Yeah, in most areas of the game, not all of them, because there's a lot of optional stuff in this game. It is a very content heavy game. In a lot of the stages and levels where you have to go through it for story reasons, it's always omnipresent in the back. Because it feels like they're really setting up the game to have because it's like, well, I'm part of Expedition 33 and the game's called Expedition 33, so this fucking expedition is gonna kick some ass. Like you meet every single person in that expedition. Everybody is hyped as fuck. They're drinking wine because
they're French.
They're French. And they're just like hyped, and they're saying, no, we are the fucking ones that are gonna make a fucking change in the world. And they set off on a boat and they all die.
I mean, it's the other dimension of that is that they're all 32 as well. Like, it's all people.
Oh, they're 32, yes.
Like apart from my owl.
Yeah, it's like they better fix this because they're dead anyway. So this is like, you got to get it out there and do it, or you're done next year anyway, buddy.
Who else is gonna? Yeah.
I made a comparison about the like opening sequence, like both the setup and like the immediate like end of prologue intact one to Billy, that they kind of like grimaced at, but they didn't say I was wrong. It really gives it gave me feelings similar to the opening act of Attack on Titan, where like if you don't know what Attack on Titan is about, like you just get this opening of like, okay, humanity is behind these walls and everyone's kind of just like living their life, and oh fuck, Titans, oh shit's getting fucked up.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, the main characters are gonna become soldiers and they're gonna strap on their boots and they're gonna save the day. No. Like they immediately get fucking wrecked.
They're going to get their shit rocked.
And that's like the first scene you get out of the like act one is like immediately Expedition 33 is basically just decimated and you are left with your main character Gustav alone.
Yeah, I mean, decimated by like another human that is
an old man.
That's actually such a big deal too, because when you see a guy that is super old, way past fucking 32, it's immediately like, there's like shenanigans. Like there's some shit going on there's
some shenanigans. I think it's also important as well that no other expedition has ever returned. So they've been sending these out for 67 years, right?
Yes,
because it was years. It started at 100. Which the first expedition of fucking 99-year-olds. I
don't think they were 99.
No, they weren't. But I'm just imagining it like
you got to send out all the geriatrics out.
Yeah. The first one is the one that went the farthest. Oh, I guess they would have like the most resources. What am I talking about? Of course they would get the farthest.
But they've been sending them out for 67 years and not a single one has returned. So everybody just assumes that they're just going to die. So when you get there and then everyone just starts fucking dying, you're like, oh, I see what happened.
But I like how that like that whole concept of like, oh, we're gonna like die, we need to push forward, is like reinforced in like the protocols
for those who come after.
Because it's like the idea of like no one unit is gonna fucking save the day. It has to be like a continued effort, and I like that that's reinforced in the game design, where all of your checkpoints are the flags that previous expeditions have left, and they're all numbered. And it's not like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like, this is 67, and then you walk forward and it's like 84, and this is like where they went, because when you find their journals, you learn all of them had different approaches, because they're like, okay, we're going to try this. We're going to try being in a submarine and go about it in this direction. And then you find the journal. It's like, didn't work. We immediately got fucked up.
That was a fucking awful
that was a bad idea.
The car one?
The car one is amazing.
It's like one of the first ones you find in Act 1. It's so fucked up and funny.
This fucking game has some of the, like, we're talking about a lot of really sad shit. This game is fucking hilarious.
It's so funny.
Some of the expeditions are so stupid. They're like, they tried, because, I mean, after 67 times, you're going to start trying weird shit.
It's gonna do some random ass shit, man.
This is a very late game expedition find. So sorry, expedition. Is it 67 or 63? That's like, oh, the naked expedition. They literally all were like, fuck wearing clothes. They're slowing us down. We're getting jacked, and we're gonna fuck shit up.
We're getting yoked, and we're not wearing any clothes, and it's gonna scare the fuck out of the what are they called again?
Nevrons.
The Nevrons. Yeah.
They all get into the continent and fucking actually get really far.
They made it really far.
One that I remember, and it's not even like, I don't know, I guess it's like darkly funny just because of like how it's presented, is when you find like decently early on, which is you find a journal surrounded by all these like what appear to be like Nevron bodies. And it's like an article of like, oh, our idea to skin Nevrons and like hide amongst them failed miserably. They immediately noticed us. We are fucked. And then I like look back at the bodies, and it's like, oh, there's humans in those Nevrons. They're human like remains in there.
They're humans wearing a fucking Nevron skin, and they try fucking it's so darkly comedic, because they get so desperate and try the dumbest shit, because they're like, well, I found this expedition journal earlier that told me that they tried this, so I'm going to try something different, because that's not going to work. Oh, dude, it's so funny. I feel this is probably a good time to switch to, or switch the discussion to gameplay. Unless you, sorry, Cameron, I cut you off.
I was just going to say, like, the journal entries themselves are a really good use of that kind of storytelling, because in most games, I feel like I've talked about this before, but in like a lot of games with the journal entries, you just don't, you pick them up.
I do not care. I'm just like, yeah, whatever.
See a wall of text, and then it's in your inventory, or you fucking drop it. Who cares? But in this, the way that it's, all of the journal entries are journal entries from previous expeditions, and that is like a really, like, that's one of the questions the game asks, like, well, fuck, none of these people returned. What happened to them? And it actually answering those, and usually it's fucking funny what happened to them. But sometimes it's just really sad and depressing. But regardless, there wasn't a single one where I was like, oh, I'm not going to read this.
Yeah.
No, I read all of them, because they're like really short, which it is a fucking blessing.
Yes. And they're voiced.
They're short. They're very well voiced. Oh my god, the voice cast is phenomenal.
The only criticism I have, and it's just like a minor little annoyance, because I just do it in other games, is I wish you could close the window and keep listening to it as you walk.
100%.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I'm just like, I like this, but I want to like keep progressing and kind of listening to the story in the background. Not the worst thing in the world, but just because other games do it, it did kind of make me wish I could do it in this one. But minor criticism aside, like, I really like how they handle the journalism thing. They're all really well written, because like whether it's like interesting in how it builds the world, or it tells like a little story of like one of them that I remember was like a person that it wasn't talking about like a failure. It was just like, oh, our team got wiped out and it's just me and Tony, I forget what the name was, and they're like, I get to spend one last day with them before it's over. And it's like just talking about how like they're happy they get this one small little moment with their beloved person before they die. And then it ends with like tomorrow comes, which is like the unit's tagline type thing of like, we need to continue forward, like tomorrow will always be there. And I like that also again ties into like the broader themes of the story.
Yeah, I remember that one specifically because it was they were in an area where they were specifically saying like, well, nobody else survived, and we don't think we're going to be able to make too much of a change, so we're going to be a bit selfish and enjoy the final days before our Gommage together. And it's like, whoa, what the hell? That's so dark.
Yeah. But yeah, segueing into like more like concrete like gameplay stuff. How'd you guys feel about it? Like starting off,
I think that it's absolutely genius that the exploration, like to keep talking about the fact that you see other expeditions throughout the game constantly, the grapple points as well as the like climbing gear. You get told like immediately when you get to the continent that all of those were like Expedition 67 or something are the ones that were the climbers. They were the climbers, and they set all of those up throughout the entire game specifically for the next ones that come after. That's so genius.
It's a nice little touch to like excuse like a gameplay thing that like has to exist, because it's like, okay, like this is something that exposition did. Like it's very clearly like the game telling you, it's like, we accounted for that. That's not just there just because, like that was intentionally put there.
It's such a genius, because it doesn't have to be like, they don't have to explain it. I would have accepted it anyways, but it's just another little use of world building. But fuck, man, let's get into combat. If we're getting into gameplay, there is going to be gameplay spoilers, because
let's start with the simple stuff, because I think this game is the best example of combat and a game where the gameplay expands over time.
Yes, it really does.
Because when you start playing it, it's like you can kind of see there's like a lot of cool considerations in how you play, and just watching the little pieces click into place over time is one of the most satisfying things, where the first time you see a character and like what their gimmick is, because I love that every character has their own unique gameplay gimmick. Like this guy charges up like a big electrical burst that you overcharge. This person casts spells and you're like building like units of that. This person has stances, so on and so forth. And there's some characters where I was like, I don't really like get their gimmick. Like I understand it, but I don't feel its use case in battle. I don't ever get to use their big cool thing. And then you start to see what the vision is as like you get Pictos, which are the game's equivalent of like Machina from Materia. I said Machina. Materia. It's the game's equivalent of like abilities, where it's like you just like tag them onto a character, and it's like, when you do a base attack, you get 1 AP, which is the game's equivalent of like an MP system, which is how you do skills. And at first you go like, okay, well that's like cool, I guess. But then you add more and more and more and more, and it's like, oh, okay, I changed how I play this character.
Yep. Yeah, the Pictos are they start very normal, where they're like, add burning damage to your base attack, but then it becomes like, I'm going to use a late game example because I want to showcase how insane they can get. You can get Pictos where you just play twice.
Yeah, you just get another turn.
And that sounds insane. That sounds like breaking the game, but it's really not.
Yeah.
The game considers every possibility for every build.
And if the more game breaking it is, the more it like costs to like have on your character, because you have like 3 that you can slot onto every character, and then you can also slot in any of them that you've like learned, quote unquote, which you only really takes like 4. I think it's like 4 battles to like learn one, and then your entire team knows it. Yeah. But that costs like a separate unit of I think it's like
Lumina.
Lumina. And each character has like a limited amount, so you're really like balancing costs, where it's like this really good one costs like 20. So it's like, do you want to allocate that much resources to be able to do this one, or do you want to exchange that for like 4 helpful ones. And I like that like you're basically trying to figure out the logistics to how to break a character over time.
And I want to pull back a little bit just to like a broad overview of what the combat actually is. Because it is a mix of traditional turn-based like JRPG, RPG combat, like a la Final Fantasy, or I guess a closer comparison would be Persona.
I'll tell you right now, the closest by far is Shadow Hearts, and that it's not obscure, but it's
deeper.
Dude, honestly, nowadays it's probably more obscure nowadays, but it was the director of the game has talked about the fact that the gameplay is very Shadow Hearts.
When they were giving their bona fides, I was like, this person knows ball. Like, this person is like deep fucking in there.
Oh, this dude is like a JRPG guy. Like, he is deep in the fucking sauce when it comes to JRPGs. And you can tell that the guy loves JRPGs a lot because of the way he talks about them. Or I guess you could also say the Mario RPGs, although I don't think that's entirely accurate.
Mostly in just the fact there's like the whole like system with it, like reactive combat where you can parry and dodge, which like I don't know if Paper Mario was the first thing to do that, but it's what comes to mind when it might have popularized it. I can't say definitively if it was like the first thing. I do want to make one tiny little pit stop in this conversation though when it comes to like the director and their like love for JRPGs. It does suck that like the quote unquote discourse around this game has been like, oh, finally a JRPG that I like, and like every other JRPG sucks compared to this. And it's like, man, like
no,
that's such a bummer to hear, and I feel like that's like really like shitty considering this is like a love letter. Like that's a really played out term to use, but this is like the director.
They finally added skill to fucking turn-based.
Yeah, like that's it. Yeah,
this is a game that is so in love with the genre, and it sucks that a lot of people on specifically like on social media were just saying like finally they fixed everything about like, and it's like, I don't know about fixed. Modernizing 100%. This is the most modernized turn-based RPG I've ever played. Like nothing plays like it, and it's going to take a while before people use a lot of its DNA, because realistically this game doesn't do anything that's that crazy. It just takes a lot of elements from different games. The progression in the game is also very reminiscent of Dark Souls, and God, I'm so sorry for even mentioning it, but it's true.
It's a bonfire. It's like you do your fast travel from it, you do your level ups from it. Like, I don't think the director would ever be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, they'd probably own up to that. It's a gumbo of like good level designs, and just like you can just see all these little appreciations for like games as a whole. The director is also, you know what they also love? Devil May Cry. Like there's like a lot of moments in it where it's like this guy fucking loves Devil May Cry.
And go on their YouTube channel and watch them fucking solo the final boss on the hardest difficulty.
Yeah,
with
you
no
can
damage.
literally go and find them
SSS.
on their old YouTube channel, like fucking clearing shit on like crazy difficulty, no damage. It's like, oh, this person's like fucking legit.
Yeah,
and they were a Sekiro speedrunner as well, right? I remember seeing that around somewhere that they were.
If that's true, I would not be surprised, because the parry mechanic in this game is
to finish.
It's the big thing. Okay. Go
sorry,
for it.
To finish my point. It's a blending.
There's so much in this game. This game is nuts.
It's a blending of those traditional JRPG mechanics, and also the wrinkle in it is that when it goes to the enemy's turn, it's not like, oh, I've set my characters to be blocking because I know they're going to do a big attack. It's, oh, they're going to do an attack. I need to decide if I'm going to try and dodge it or go for perfect parries and get my fucking AP back and then be able to do a counterattack. And it becomes
a management game and a risk and reward system.
And a bit of a rhythm game as well, because the way that enemies' attacks are telegraphed is really smartly done. I mean, it doesn't take away from fucking how hard it is.
Oh no,
especially
so
to nail
hard.
those perfect parries. But they're telegraphed and they're learnable in the same way that any boss or enemy in Sekiro is. And that, I think, is the clearest inspiration for how those enemies...
It's also far more generous than Sekiro. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Sometimes
It's because there's like a lot of tells of like how it attacks.
But I think the biggest genius of all of that is the fact that the audio
audio cues.
The audio cues are so perfect and they're timed exactly for human reactions. If you hear the one cue that is like for that attack, you can always parry it just by listening.
I still get fucked up by the ones with a massive long wind up.
Yeah,
like
those ones where they'll like kind of fake you out a little bit. Those always get me.
Yep.
But if it's a consistent rhythm, I can get it. But yeah, anytime a thing kind of like slows down a little bit and then like waits, I'm like, oh, you fucker! Like I thought I had it.
Especially, they always do it when they're targeting Mael and she's in fucking like non-defensive stance, and I'm like, well, if I fuck up this parry, I'm dead.
Yeah, dude, the number of times where I'm just like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, just like for the rhythm of like the really long strings of attacks. It's like, this game is nuts, dude. You're just learning how to drum, man.
Can I point out like one of the like beautiful things about this system?
Yes, go for it.
So putting in like a parry system or like a block system, again, not revolutionary, like, you know, it's been done before in RPGs, but there's such a nice little detail in this because they give you a block or a parry and they give you a dodge. Functionally, they do the same thing. They're meant to avoid damage because enemies in this game hit very hard. Like, it is like expected of you as you go further into this game.
Even on lower levels, you will get your shit wrong.
And so, but the game very smartly gives you, okay, if you can perfectly time the response, you can parry it. And if you block all of the attacks, whether it's 1 or 3, then you'll do a counter attack, does big damage, and you can put Pictos into doing counter attacks. So you do more damage, you get more AP, you get this, that, and the other thing, and it makes it really rewarding. But it requires a lot more of a precision to it. So, you know, there's a risk there, you know, risk reward thing. But it gives you the alternative in a dodge, which has a much wider frame for getting out of the way, but it's safer option, so you don't get the counterattack. But it will tell you if you got a dodge or a perfect dodge, and the perfect dodge is basically a telegraph to you, the player.
Oh my god!
This is the parry window. That is where you would land a parry. And if you are getting perfect dodges every time on an attack sequence, the game's kind of giving you the little nudge of like, hey, you got the timing for that. You could parry that. And it's a nice little like, don't worry, like, you can do it. And it's kind of like a little pat on the butt, like, oh, okay, you could try it. And I just like, oh my god, that's so clever.
It's such a genius little piece of design.
Though there was fights in the back end of this game where I was like, I'm too scared. Oh, don't make me do it.
Actually, I mean, a lot of people have proven that you can play the entire game with only dodging, and it is 100% viable because
for sure.
All you have to do is just use Pictos that work for that playstyle. Yeah. You don't have to make a parry build.
Oh, you don't have to.
You can build however you want.
It's also worth noting, like, the risk reward with the parry. If it's a multi-hit attack by the enemy, if you fuck up one of the parries, you don't get the counter attack, and you might as well have just dodged. So there is,
you could go for the AP because you need it for a big spell you have coming up.
But you can.
There's like so many decisions that are.
There's like
so
a one
quick.
where when you dodge, you get AP as well, a Picto.
Oh, Dodger. But Dodger, I think you only get once.
Is it only
per,
one?
Once
I think you get once per
like
thing.
rotation of attack.
Yeah.
Okay. But regardless, I think there are so many hidden. I want to say accessibility options to this game of like, if you let's say you're playing this game because you're a huge JRPG fan, you hate Dark Souls, you hate fucking any kind of game that requires like timing and stuff like that, and you're coming to this game like, oh, I want to play the newest JRPG, and then you just don't you don't click with the dodging or the parrying.
If you got that white boy rhythm,
If you got that white boy rhythm, there are options. There are ways within the systems of the game, whether you do pictos, whether you spec into healing on Lune, or different options that you can have a completely viable build where it even rewards you for not dodging. Like you get one where it's like every time you no longer get AP for parries. Every time you get hit, you get AP, and then you take reduced damage. Plus you have a shell. When you have shell, you do more damage. There's so many different ways in which you can actually, the game caters to whatever playstyle you want to have, and it still be completely viable. Is really, really smart.
And honestly, you don't even have to play on the normal difficulty, which I will say is fucking hard. This game is a ball buster sometimes. You can play on story and the game is still very challenging. Instead of being like, oh, look at the little bitch who can't do shit. It's the game is more like you get less damage, but everything stays the same. And it's just giving you more, chances to fuck up instead.
I'm going to use one of my favorite game design words, and it fits very well here, player expression. We love to see it. We love each person gets to play the game how they see fit, and everyone expresses like that in the way they build their characters. Like I'm sure by the end game, we all had different like parties and like the way we had them set up on like pictos.
We're going to be talking about our end game parties later, but I remember we literally talked about this yesterday, Shane.
Yeah.
You were talking about your end game build with a specific character, and then I was telling you how I built it completely different, and both of them will just do a bunch of damage, but we play them completely differently.
How are you getting there? How are you getting to that like insane damage number?
Yes.
And like what are you incentivizing on each character? And like it feels so satisfying to like know that like every person has their own unique like way of playing characters based on like what weapons they find, what pictos they get. And another small detail, I love that like this game really rewards like looking at every nook and cranny, because the amount of times I would just like look around a corner and be like, oh, there's like a little picto there, and go, oh fuck, that changes my build on a character. Holy fuck, that is like an insane ability.
Yeah, and there are so many pictos, so many. It must be like in the fucking 300s.
I heard they were gonna fix the game in terms of sorting them, because one of the issues in the late game when you have like a bunch of them,
you just have too many.
I remember there's a picto that reses you on death, or there's a picto that does like this on counterattack. Where is it? I forget what it's called. I forget what it's called, and it's like, where do I sort it? Apparently they're reworking it in a future patch to make it easier to like find specific stuff, which holy fuck, like,
dude, just give me a search bar, man.
Oh,
give me a fucking search bar, man.
That is probably one of my I've got kind of like two major complaints about the gameplay wise, and it's not to do with like the actual gameplay itself, like when you're in battle. It's to do with the admin outside of it. I think menuing, although it's pretty for the characters, is so clunky.
Yeah.
There is a big issue I have as well with the menus.
My second one would be, I don't understand why we level up attributes at all. It just felt like I was pressing numbers.
Yeah, I also got to the end game and I was like, I had like 30 points available to like spec into a character, and I'm just like, I feel like these don't do as much as like pictos and like weapons do. I know that there's like more minutia to it, but it just is like
I'm going to disagree there, because depending on which weapon you're using, though, especially in the end game, like, because I don't know if I talked about this, but I got the platinum on this game. I 100%ed the game. I did a lot of the secret stuff that even the game is like, dude, this is just for sickos. You don't have to fucking, even for the platinum, this is just stupid. This is just for fun. I will say, like, every weapon as it levels up, because of course there's weapon leveling, it does the Dark Souls thing where some attributes will have a little letter grade next to it.
If it's S and
if it's an S, in luck. Yeah. Then it's going to give you not only more critical chance, it's going to give you more critical chance, more speed, more this. Like it depending on the weapon, the attributes do change a lot. It's just that it takes a really long time until it gets there, and I don't think it's that important until you get to the nitty gritty shit in the like post game.
It's something that doesn't feel really tangible, because by the point it does matter, it's like a background element that you don't really notice. Because I know in the minutia of the game why it matters. In terms of the moment-to-moment gameplay, it never felt like it mattered in like a moment-to-moment. Like I would just be like, fucking, it'll earn points and I'll go fucking add them later. And there would be like oftentimes where it's like, here's 12,
100%,
13, 50 points. I was like, okay, put those on.
If you think I was stopping every, like, because every level up gives you 3 points, I was not stopping at a fucking bonfire for every 3 points.
That's the thing. It just annoys. Every time I go to a bonfire, it would be like I had like that little icon next to my attributes, and then I have to spam through the fucking characters of like, all right, 3 points to fucking speed, I guess. Like,
No, it does matter at the very end, and thank God the game gives you recoats, which let you reset.
Oh, it's very generous.
Your things, because you're going to make the shittiest build when you start until you start understanding a bit more the depth and everything around it. Here's my one gameplay complaint. My true, genuine fuck you. I hate you so much for making this. I hate the platforming. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I know. Okay.
It's all optional.
I want to.
We should preface it.
It is all optional, but
the beaches.
The beaches.
There are beaches where there are little mini game challenges that were inspired. I don't know if this is true, but it sounds true, and I will spread misinformation. But apparently, the game's director, which we should really say his proper name by this point. Yeah, he said apparently that it was inspired by the Final Fantasy X Dodge 100 Lightning Bolts challenge, and fuck you. Why would you do that? It's so mean, and it's for the worst rewards.
Billy, you're probably gonna have to read this because I'm gonna butcher this. Guillemot Brochet.
Guillaume Brochet.
Yeah, there you go.
Guillaume Brochet. Okay. Why would you do that, Guillaume? What the hell? That's so mean. It's so mean.
But yeah, it very much feels like a lot of those like beaches are like it gives the vibes that like either the director or like the staff on board, because it's he's not a model.
Oh, they were just making those for fun.
No, not even that. It's like it feels like they watch streamers. Because the games that are like it based on, it's like, okay, this feels like a Fall Guys bit. Like this feels like it's like directly referencing Fall Guys.
Chained together.
The chained together one was the most painful one for me.
Yeah,
it's not chained together. It was the game before that everyone was playing that was single player, and it was like Going Up or something. It was something up. It's the same concept as Chained Together, but it's single player, and like all the streamers were playing it like 3 years ago.
Yeah, you just have to climb a giant fucking tower in the air with the most painful platforming
inaccurate.
It's so inaccurate. That's not the worst part though. If you are a bit too, like if you fall from a bit too high, you're going to roll, and you cannot stop that roll.
Yep. And
you have to angle it so that your roll goes at an angle where you're not going to fall off, because if you fall off, you fall all the way down, and then if you land on a platform, you're gonna roll again, and if you landed not in a great spot, you're gonna roll down even more and even more until you just reach the absolute bottom, and you have to go climb back all the way up. And this is all optional, but it was very painful, and that's literally the last thing I did in the entire game because it was so hard.
The game is only up.
Only I see.
Okay.
I remember getting to that like beach and being like, oh
nope.
Okay. I did it for like 15 minutes, and then I was like, no, I'm not doing this. Fuck this.
No, the correct thing to do is to see what the beach is about, look up, Fuck off. Do not do that thing. All you get is a fucking swimsuit.
You get a swimsuit.
You get an old, and it's
No,
not,
it's
it's not
one.
even like a sexy swimsuit
Her feet are out
where it's
still.
like ooh la la. It's an old timey like 1940s swimsuit where it's like okay, yeah.
It's almost a fucking joke thing. Like it's not horny enough. I hate this game, I think.
I hate
I
all
love
of this
game.
dude.
From what I saw, it's pretty horny with Gustav because his fucking bulge is poking right
Gustav
out.
is fucking bro. Gustav is a little hottie. Okay, we got
Spoilers for Act 2?
For the end
one?
of Act
End
One.
End of Act 1.
Yeah.
Let's
So
go for that.
we're talking about like how many outfits you can get for fucking Gustav. There's like a shit ton that you can find in side quests and different hairstyles.
all the skills as well.
This guy fucking dies.
He just dies.
He just
That is the craziest like fucking mic drop at the end of Act 1 is like, hey, we killed the main character. Fuck you.
You're like 15 hours into the game
Yes.
at that point. You like he has a
skill tree.
See he has a skill tree. He has gradient attacks, which are not available until after he dies. That is only for New Game Plus. Like this is a character that is fully fleshed out, has so many like, and you see his struggles, and he's like such an important character in the game, and he's so like they made him so fucking likable, and he dies. And that scene at the end of Act 1 on Stonewave Cliffs is so fucking devastating, and it is just further pushing how important grief is to the themes of this game, because Mael is fucked up after that. Like she's 16 and she just lost her fucking father figure.
Yeah, the whole part of this game that up until this point was like developing that relationship. You were talking with all of the people at camp. Gustav, like earlier on as well, is really struggling with keeping on after like there's a moment where he like almost kills himself.
There's like, yeah, he is literally going to kill himself until Lune comes out.
Because that opening sequence is really important when you like after like the expedition gets like wiped out, because like that is where you like get real like, okay, here's Gustav as a character in isolation. He is the last survivor as far as he knows. He's like, oh fuck, I gotta keep moving on. And there's this beautiful sequence where he is like now like in the expedition on the continent, and he is like walking in just complete silence. And I was like, I feel like a different game, a different writer would be like, okay, we need to fill this silence with like his inner thoughts, or like his monologue of like, oh fuck, like that was crazy.
Fuck, where is everyone?
And it's just like dead fucking silence, and you just kind of have to sit in this moment of just like desperation.
It makes a point of it as well, because as you're walking around, there's literal dialogue boxes that pop up, and it's just ... It's just like ... He's not saying anything, but they make a point of like, no, his silence is very important right now. And then when he gets to he sees like
a pile of bodies.
There must be like a pile of bodies. It's not like hundreds, it's like thousands. They're literally like fucking pouring out of the walls. It is.
Yeah. And he sits down with them. That's the other like he's like, it's almost like he's accepting his part of it, or being with them, and like he has no hope in that moment, and then Lune shows up and is able to like pull him out of that and tell them they've got to keep going. His dialogue with Lune through that first act is all about keeping going, even though it seems hopeless, even though you don't like. At one point he has this conversation with her where he goes like, fuck the mission, let's go back. Let's take Mael back or whatever. Like this is pointless.
We need to go find Mael. We need to go find Mael and wherever she is. And Lune's like, no, we need to stick to the code of the mission. And the code of the mission says we stay here and wait.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I refuse. I'm gonna go find Mael, which like really reinforces like him and Mael have like a really strong bond, and he will just like forsake everything to go find her. And he also like puts a little fucking seed in how like Lune works, because he's like, oh, are you gonna break protocol by not sticking together? And he puts a fucking like ultimatum on her where he's like, you can stay here and keep the protocol, but a protocol also says we got to keep going and stick together and make it to another day. And it's like, ooh, like, okay, we're building connections here. We're setting up our party.
And those setups never get resolved because, like we said, bro, he just dies.
Yeah,
he dies in a scene that is heartbreaking. Holy shit. Especially because I was like, dude, I fucking love Gustav so much. He's so fucking naturally funny in a lot of the scenes. Like he just has such a good energy. He's a really fucking likable guy. And seeing him just like, because he only dies because he's protecting Mael. Like he just protects her from getting hurt by is he named yet?
I think he's like
I don't know
after,
whatever.
Right
like
we're
we're so past fucking spoilers. Yeah.
But the thing with his death as well is that because you have been playing it, like, to be fair, like at the start, like when I was playing this game, I was like, oh, Gustav's probably gonna die at the end of this. Like that was,
that's kind of obvious in a sense, but
having it happen at that point in the game when it did, and having that character be taken away from you, you're not able to play as him ever again in the game. Like, that's just it for him. Like,
it's a very tangible loss.
No, he is gone.
It's really tangible. It puts you in the shoes of, like, he had so much unfinished stuff. Like, his relationships that he was developing with the other expedition members, his relationship with Mael, his goals, all of these things are just kind of wiped.
What are the skills he had on the ability tree? I'll never know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I put so many points into his fucking strength.
I used all my Lumière points on him. Fuck.
They make you feel it because you're not going to get him back at all. Like I kind of, in my head, I did have a bit of a doubt where I was like, there's no fucking way. I spent so much time with him. Like, there's no way he's proper dead. But then they like, dude, they really they're like, no, here's how fucking dead this guy is. And then they kind of go hard on showing you like, no, this guy is like not coming back from this one. He's like,
but
he's a pile.
It's so perfect for the themes of the game, of having you sit with the characters as they grieve him all in their own way. And that kind of loss is still felt throughout the game, and they still feel it and think about him. And there's, one of my favorite things in the game is when you're in the camp, you get an option to write in your journal as Gustav for the first time.
Yeah.
And
dude, that was the first thing I was thinking about during the death was like, who's going to write in the journal?
He's keeping a journal for his apprentices back in Lumière who are going to presumably go on their own expedition, and he wants to give them information that they need to know about his journey, what they've done. That's like the whole thing of the game, of these expeditions. They're all recording all the stuff that they're doing, so those who come after have something to go by, have more information. And it's so gut-wrenching after the game when Mael then takes that over for him and starts writing in his journal, and it like continuing his kind of hopes and dreams and aspirations through your own actions and taking those on board and dealing with that grief it just fits so well with the rest of the game and is treated so perfectly.
Yeah, like she lost the person who raised her, literally, like that. Like it's for her, it's like she lost her dad at that point. It's so fucking powerful of a moment. I like everybody that I told about this game, like, oh dude, you need to play it and you need to get to stone, like you need to get to a bit farther in. Everybody messages me back and is like, whoa, what the fuck? They can do that?
Yeah,
they're allowed
like,
to do
you can
that?
just do that in the game, and it's like, yeah, you can fucking do that, and you get what a lot of people assume is just replacement Gustav,
Yeah,
And he's not.
He's not. He has a completely different moveset as well. It would have been so easy just to give him the same shit. Like, but no, he's Dante.
I mean, that's why I didn't use him at first. It feels weird, but I didn't want to use Verso at first.
I had the same
because
feeling.
I was like,
I was like, I don't know if I want to use this character.
To be fair, they make it very clear that he has some shit he's hiding from the rest of the party or the expedition, and he's kind of
he's sus.
He's shifty. He's very suspicious, and he also has probably one of the hardest to, especially early game when you're not used to the parry system, hardest to like use.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, a style mechanic. Oh shit, this is like made for me. And then I was like, I never get to S rank because like fights are usually done by then, so I'm not like seeing the full breadth of the mechanic. And it's like, again, we talked about it earlier, where it's like when you see characters' abilities come to fruition later in the game, once like all the pieces start going into place, he became my strongest character by a country mile by the end game.
Same.
Oh, dude, yeah, no, it's not even close.
As much as they make him shifty and like, ooh, he's like keeping secrets, he did get the sign off by our favorite character, Esquie.
Yes.
Oh, Esquie.
Oh, we haven't even talked about Esquie. Oh my god.
I was like, we need to at least briefly talk about him because I fucking love him.
He's probably my favorite character, and it's not surprising.
He's a big guy. That's
swim.
Like, okay, I'm just gonna say it right now. Like, we're
at the point where it's just spoilers are a go.
This is the point of no return.
Yeah, it's like either you are like deep into this game already, or you finished it, or you just want to listen to some people yap about a game that you don't have full intention of playing yourself or whatever. Like, you are now too far in.
You're too far in, because now we're going to start talking about the ending, because after Gustav dies, the story kind of takes not a break, but it kind of slows down to pay more attention to the relationships of the characters, instead of like, it's like they take little steps towards the paintress now and focus more on the relationships of the characters.
And this is where you get like an actual like social link mechanic.
To go back to Esquie is your mount, and he's just a big bag. That's it. I don't know how to describe him. He's just a big bag.
He looks like an he looks like an underinflated blimp. Like, he is like big and like wrinkly, and I fucking love him. I love his vibe. Like, he is just happy to be there.
He just gives you hugs.
And one of my like favorite like social link moments is everyone has like a little armband with the 33 on it to be like, we're part of Expedition 33.
Oh, right.
And he's like sulking at some point.
It's so fucking cute.
And Verso's like, what are you like so like off about? And at this point, like, the rest of the team gave Verso his own band, because they're like, hey, if you're gonna be with us, like, you need to be properly marked. And then Esquie's like, I see you all have an armband and I don't have one.
Yeah.
So Verso makes him an armband, but it can't fit around his big fucking hulking arms. So they wrap it around his fucking head like a fucking bandana. And anytime you're in when you're in the camp, he's wearing it. It's like, that's a little cute thing.
Even on his player model, it shows. That's one of the cool things about this game. Sometimes there's little things that happen, and when you actually finish Maya's relationship, she says, maybe I should just paint on the monolith like a big fucking thing that says, Dad, fuck off. And that, like, the 33 disappears and it just says Papa va-t'en. It literally says Dad.
Wait, really? Oh,
yeah,
dude, I need to play the in-game stuff. That's so funny.
It's so fucking funny.
It's so good. For the rest of the back end of the game that was like always in my periphery is just that message of Dad, fuck off.
Dad, go away.
That's so funny.
But yeah, it's those little details, and you really get a feel for all of these characters in those little, I'm gonna say social links, for lack of a better term, like, you know, these like little bits of relationship. And there's not even like big gameplay things to it either. Like, you get like gradient attack unlocks for them.
Yeah.
But it's not like you don't get like a little point system, or it's like, oh, you said the right thing. Not to dump on Persona to give this its flowers, but I like that it just treats it like you are getting to experience the relationship between these characters. Like
100%.
if you talk to CL, it's like she really wants to have a human connection with Verso, and she's like, tell me something dark and personal, and like the options you have are like kind of weird, and like express that like Verso doesn't really know what to tell her that would satisfy this query. And then you like keep, you know, having conversations with her, and like eventually you find out like she has this fear of swimming, and it's like, why is she like so hung up that she can't swim? And you get just this really interesting backstory into her character, where we knew that her husband before the game died, but we never really got details about it. And you find out, oh, he died not on an expedition, but on just like a outing in Lumière, where they went out to like a nearby island, and he ended up washing on shore. He had drowned, and in a moment of grief, and again, we're spoilers again, just giving everybody the warning, she, in a moment of grief, went out into the ocean and swam out as far as she could with the intention of, I'm just going to go out and die. And that's why she has such a ingrained fear of swimming, because it's so related to her trauma in relation to her husband. And we find out her unborn child that died when she attempted to do this, and she expresses these emotions to Verso in what is just like a little bit of side content, but it like flavors so much about what's compelling about these characters. And I was just like fucking aghast. I was like, holy shit, like this is such a deep insight.
The side content in this game is very meaty.
And it also ties back to that central theme of like how grief affects people and what kind of things people do because of it. Like, you can tie that back to exactly what, like, I mean, again, big spoilers for the game, whatever, we're past that. But, you know, the paintress, Eileen, like, the reason why she's in there is because of grief for her kid.
She can't get over the real Verso.
The real Verso, and hanging on to that one last part of his soul, essentially, in the art that he's made, in the painting, and that having just this awful effect on herself and her family, but it's still like that clinging and wanting to hold on and not being able to let go, and what that makes people do. It's really there's so many ways you can think about it.
Every character's like side story content has to do with this emotion, except for Esquie. Like, Esquie's just vibing out. He's just having a good time.
I mean, Esquie is there to... We needed a character like this in this game, like, because otherwise it would be dreadful.
Yeah.
Otherwise it would be just so depressing to play through.
Oh yeah, that's not a criticism. I just find it cute that he is like just there having a good time, while everyone else, like, you have these like dialogue discussions with them, and it's like a lot of their like character writing in terms of like the side stories, their relationship stuff is about like how they deal with loss. Like Monaco, one of the other characters you meet, like his whole thing is about bringing back Noko, which is like what's the
Gestrals.
The
Gestrals, which are fucking hilarious, by the way.
It's such a neat detail. Is like you have this like warrior race that are dumb as bricks, but they love fighting and this whole thing. But you learn it's like, when they die, they can be resurrected. There's like, they bring them to the river and they get born again, but they forget who they are. And Monaco wants to bring Noko back after they get killed in like a previous battle. And you find out that he is skipping the line to do this, but he really wants to bring Noko back, even if Noko won't remember him. He just wants him back. And you learn that Noko was his mentor. Like, because at first you just think, oh, that's like a child that he takes care of. It's like, no, that's someone he's known for years and actually raised him. And Noko doesn't remember because it's been so many times that they've been brought back. And it just is like, oh my God. Like, again, reinforcing themes of like loss and like not letting someone go and choosing to instead to like force them to stay, even if they're not the same person.
Oh, man. And we're going to talk about forcing people to stay.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you guys if you had theories about the world and the characters coming up, and then that end of Act 2 when you fight the Paintress and it's revealed what the actual, like, how the mechanics of the world work. Because, like, I had theories going into it. I was like, Renoir that's old Gustave because he looks very similar, and it's just
they intentionally make him look very similar. Yeah,
that's literally all I thought was just like it's a time loop situation.
Yeah. I knew that they must have been different, but I was insistent from like moment one. I was like, Maëlle and the girl that's like black and white with the face mask.
Yes.
I was like,
the same.
I know that there's some connection there. They're really blatant about it, but I don't know what it is. It's like a time thing or something, but like there's there.
The first time you see her, by the way, holy fucking shit, that was scary. The game literally jump scares you, and it becomes like
black and
the
white,
aspect
4:3. Yeah,
dude, it's and it's like it's really fucking spooky and shit. And you're like, what the fuck? We were literally at camp drinking wine. We were having fun. What the hell? But yeah, no, I just thought it was a time loop or something. I would have never guessed any of anything. It's so weird. It's such a weird concept.
What happens? You get to the Paintress, you kill the Paintress. It's weird because you're like, why is Verso like fucking?
Verso is being really weird about it.
He's like, it's time to go home, Aline, I think, or something like that, or like it'll be okay.
He says her name, and then
everyone starts gommaging.
I remember Lune turning to him or some shit and being like, "Excuse me, who the fuck is Aline? Why do you know her name?"
Yes, like they go back to Lumière, everyone's celebrating, and then like this wave happens, and everyone just starts dying, like gommaging, every single person, regardless of their age, and Versa's just like there, and you're like, what? He knows what's happening, like what the fuck, like what's going on, and then it does this flashback where you're playing as the lady with the mask, who now it's very clear it's just Maëlle, and it reveals that like this is you've been inside of this painting this whole time. And it's like the last painting of your brother, who was Verso, who died in a fire, that you feel responsible for. And your mother and your father are like fighting over destroying this painting because your mother wants to hold on to it. And Gommage, at least my understanding, it's not actually created by the Paintress. That's her trying to hold on against Renoir, your dad, who's trying to destroy it all. And like each year she's getting pushed back. In the destruction.
Yeah, she can only maintain the world so much against him that like every year within the painting, she's losing a little bit more strength from like keeping it together.
That's why the gommage needs to happen.
Yeah.
That little piece, that tiny little piece of like in the outside world, the artists are people that can create worlds. And it's not just painters. They also set up that Verso died because of the writers, and they never taught. That is all you get.
Yes.
For the entire game, that is all you get.
Yeah, there is some internal, or not internal. There's some like external force outside that is battling with their family or like their group, because they're like the painters, and they're like, oh, the writers attacked us. And it's like, what's that about? And then it never, it just puts that out there, and like maybe we'll visit that in a future thing. Like, it feels very like there's a world outside of this.
It's already been, Clair Obscur is getting a movie, and I was very worried about. Yeah, I was very worried about it because I was like, why would they do that? This story doesn't seem like it could be adapted in a brisk like way.
No.
But now knowing that, dude, a sequel could happen. This is not a
Clair Obscur is like a brand, and then Expedition 33 is like is the painter story where they were doing this thing.
I don't like calling it a brand.
Franchise, whatever.
It's series, whatever.
Series. Yeah. The world outside of this is so interesting. And it has a potential for unlimited fucking sequels and side stories.
The thing about that reveal as well is that how it recontextualizes everything else. Like all of the characters that you've met,
they're not real.
none of them are real.
They're not real, but their existence is still real to them, even though they're not real. And they make a point of that. A lot of the end game is them being like, oh shit, we're not real, but we're real to us. And what does it mean to live? Oh man, it gets into the fucking weeds of that concept.
And to like add on to that, like just as like a little like touch of like what you were saying with like adaptation, is like this is where I think being a video game really adds a lot of weight to it, because it's like you can tell me, the player, that it's like these aren't real, and it's like I already knew that, but like I've spent like at this point like
30
20 hours 30 hours with these characters, learning all about them, their struggles, you know, getting a feeling for them, dressing them up in little outfits and stuff. It's like and to that effect, they're real to me in a way that matters. And that's why, like, even if you say it's like, oh, well, you just delete them, you can, you know, get rid of them. It's like, no, but there's like an emotion behind that. And in the same way that it is for Mael.
They have a culture. They have like entire cultures that they have built. Like they have relationships. They have a soul. They're not just fucking little funny critters you're making them fuck around. Like there are consequences to everything that the painters are doing to this world.
Yes, but they are that creation of the painters, and they are like the thing is that they're the creation of someone who's already dead, and their existence relies on like the single aspect that's left of him being kept alive against what, you know, ultimately is against his wishes, and also not allowing
him to find peace.
Not allowing him to find peace, not allowing his family to find peace.
Mael or Alicia is the, like, you kind of discovered that she's the main character of the story at that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, she kind of is as soon as Gustav dies, because it
but you see it through the perspective of Verso.
Yeah, because like Act 1 is titled as Gustav, which is like, okay, he's your main character. He dies, and then it's okay. Now it's Verso's story. It's Act 2, and then it's like, okay, but over the course of time, it's like it feels like Mael is kind of the important person. Then you get to the end of Act 2, and it's like, oh, this is all about her. And Act 3, just in like how it sets itself up after like the big reveal, and you know, the whole thing was like basically a simulation that was created as like a coping mechanism. Act 3 is like, okay, the dad, Renoir, is gonna try to get rid of the canvas. He's like, your mother is being torn apart by this, like the family can't be like this. We need to get rid of the canvas because it's just not working, because it takes life energy from them to maintain themselves in these paintings. And the rest of Act 3 is just sits on the question of, is this okay?
Yeah.
Is it okay to live in this escapism world? And basically, as soon as you get into Act 3, it's like, okay, you can go fight the final boss at any point you want. Like, you can go encounter a Renoir, or you can go do the side content. You can do some of the challenge dungeons. You can go do some of the stuff when it comes to like learning more about each of the characters, because all the characters have like a little personal dungeon about themselves. But overhanging the whole thing is this okay? Like, is this just trying not to deal with this feeling of grief that Mael / Alicia is feeling, because they feel that they're personally responsible for what happened to Verso, because it's implied that she was like tricked into doing something and then Verso died because of it. And then also is that she is horribly scarred and her life is agony because she can't talk. She's horribly scarred. And so inside this painted world, she can feel alive, quote unquote, and not have to deal with this pain. And that's kind of the like ending broad question the player is presented for the rest of the game.
Yeah. Act 3, I would say, is the end game. I remember Shane asking me, how long is Act 3? And I'm like, dude, it's as long as you want it to be. Because that's when the game is just fully opened up. And specifically, when you beat the Paintress, you get a Picto called Painter Power or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
It becomes the most important Picto in the game because now you can. The damage is uncapped. It's not 9,999.
You get to break the game over your knee.
Yes.
Yeah, you can literally fucking hit attacks that drop like 27 million damage.
Yeah.
And the game this is when the game becomes another game. Because it doesn't play the same as the story. It opens up in a way that is so massive that it becomes its own thing.
I think I spent like 4 straight days just doing all the stuff in Act 3 because it was so much.
The end game is meaty.
I also think that acts as a way of telling the player, like, you can take time to say goodbye, but ultimately you still kind of have to say goodbye. Or, you can choose not to, but then you also have to live with the consequences of what that means for, specifically Mael, really, and like also the person she's holding on to.
Eventually, you will have to come to this decision.
Yes.
Yeah, because the Verso you're playing is very adamant about the fact that he knows he's not the real Verso, and he wants to be freed because he's like feeling like he's living a lie and is not comfortable with keeping it going for the sake of Mael or Alicia.
Before we get into like the like proper like final decision stuff, there is a couple things I want to talk about, like with like the end game stretch stuff.
Yep.
With a gameplay and also some of the like little side content. Cameron, I know you said you didn't do that much of the side stuff. Did you do Mael's like the end of her like relationship stuff?
Yeah, I didn't have time to like go and do pretty much any of the in-game stuff. I did most of like going into Act 3. I was doing like all of the side like story and talking to all the characters, but like once I got to Act 3, I just did the ending.
Okay.
Yep. You can, and I will mention that this because some people might not know, but once you play through the ending of the game, it does boot you back into the game. It doesn't force you into New Game Plus, so you can finish the game and go back.
Yeah, which I am planning
Which,
to do.
depending on the ending, I feel like is a disservice, but we'll circle back around to that. We'll circle back around to that.
That's like the only time I feel the game does a very gamey thing.
It should do a near. It should do a near where it just like fucking delete or instant new game.
It's a very gamey thing, and I think it's the only time where the game is like, that's, you kind of sacrificed your own like storytelling for that little bit, but it's whatever.
But we'll circle back around to that. Because the one thing I wanted to say with one of the things I wanted to say with Mael's like kind of personal dungeon, at the end you basically have an encounter with Alicia, the like girl with the mask that you've been seeing the whole game, and you discover that is like actually her in the outside world, and you basically have a duel with her solely as Mael. And I thought that there's like a dark humor to it when I was like because I had Alicia specced out just entirely in fire abilities. And I was like, oh, this feels like kind of dark considering like the whole thing is like, oh, this person was horribly scarred by fire. And then she is weak to fire. It was doing extra damage. I was like,
my
okay.
That's fucked up.
I just thought that was really funny. I was like, this feels mean. Also, the fact that like now I'm really thinking about it, the fact that Mael's like whole like half of her abilities are related to fire is kind of dark.
Her first ability to get into virtuous stance is that somebody has to be on fire.
Yeah,
it's fucked up.
Yeah, but the end game of this game is so good, and it's where it felt like everything was coming into place mechanically, and I just loved playing it.
It clicks in a way that the rest of the game, gameplay wise, doesn't click as much because it feels like the game is just telling you that you have to break it. You cannot get through any of the end game without having a build that is just ridiculous. You have to make builds that are very, very hyper specific. And Specifically, I'm going to give an example because that's what we were talking about between Shane and I. Is my Verso build for my end game was a burning build where all he did was stack burn on top of burn on top of burn until an enemy had like 100 or something burn on them, and then when it would be their turn, they would get like millions of damage just from the stacks.
Interesting.
And that's how I built them. But Shane, you built your Verso completely different.
Yeah, so basically, like for the last stretch of the game, I found a sword that Verso has, which was if you do base attack, you play again. You do get another turn.
Oh,
so I like basically spec'd him and you landed on the same thing?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, tight. Because I just found that on myself. I didn't like search that up. I just was like, oh, this seems like a cool thing. And then I put all of his abilities in like anything that buffs base attack or buffs free aim. So his first turn would just be like dumping free aim shots into the enemy and like just stacking like burn and mark and all that stuff while he builds up his style meter.
Yeah.
Do an attack, it causes whatever I attack to go defenseless and makes Verso gives him powerful for a turn, and then do the same thing but then end it with like I think the ability was like follow up, which is if you're at S rank, it only costs 2 AP.
Oh, yes.
And it does a crazy amount of damage based on how many free aim shots you do. So I was basically playing Verso like fucking Call of Duty, where like most of my time playing him was just like free aim, just shooting, and then just doing a big, huge attack. But after I was talking to you, Billy, one ability you told me about was like, oh, you need to find cheater, and I was like, what's cheater do? And I looked it up
necessary.
and I told you, as I was talking to you like in DMs as I was like eating cereal, and I almost spit out my cereal when I like pulled up the like wiki to be like, oh, where's cheater? We're like, what is it? And it was like play a second turn. I was like, holy fuck, like that would change it the entire way I play it.
It's a necessary pick though.
And that's when I redesigned my Verso in mixing both of our play styles, because I swapped out his sword for a sword that does like stacks fire on base attack based on what your style is, which I'm pretty sure is that the one you were using.
That is not the one I was using. No.
Oh, you're using a different one. So yeah, this one
I was using a different one.
Yeah, it basically is like just all about stacking fire. So I basically took that, put cheater on him, and I still did the same thing I was doing, which is like dumping free aim shots, just stacking effects, stacking burn, attacking in, dumping. I think it was like by the end of the game, I was like stacking like 40 fire on like one base attack, because the other abilities I found was like combo attack 1, combo attack 2, combo attack 3, which is your base attack goes one more.
Oh, I didn't even think about doing that. That's such a good idea. What the fuck?
This is so interesting about this game. Every character, they have their base attack, and then they have 3 more animation attacks off of that. So like even if you're not using it, like everyone has like a 4 attack sequence they can do off of base attack that you might not see because you don't like do this build that I made, where I'm just like doing an insane amount of like burn damage by going like, okay, every base attack he is doing by the end, if he's at like S rank, it's like 15 fire stacks. So by the end of like one turn, an enemy will have like 60 stacks off of that, and he'll get to do another turn. So it's just like I am doing just an insane amount of damage. And on top of that, there's one other pick I want to shout out in this build, which is Energy Master.
Yeah, Energy Master is crazy.
Every AP you gain, you get another.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anything you do that earns AP, it will give you an extra one. So I am literally doing fucking Call of Duty, like fucking spray and pray with Verso, where I'm just shooting, and anytime they're like marked or burn, or I get, if I go up a letter in perfection, here's like 4 AP. Like just go crazy.
Christ.
So I'm doing like 100 damage before I even do the base attack stuff.
Oh my god, it costs 40 Lumina points though, so like you can not.
Oh, I dumped everything into making him crazy busted.
A lot of those you just have to either use all your, because at the end of the game I never used Ciel or Lune. My party was Monoko, Maël, and Verso.
Interesting.
And
No, mine was the exact opposite.
Really?
Maël, Verso, and Ciel. Ciel was my like buff.
Okay.
She would always start the turn, and I would buff everyone.
she's a fucking glass cannon. You can fuck shit up with her. She's nuts.
What was your party game?
I was Verso, CL, and Lune.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we all did something different.
That's the thing, right? Like, they're all so different, but it's all viable. Like, you don't have to have one specific build. Obviously, people have found out that Maël, solo fighter Maël, can nuke everything in the game. So obviously that's one of the strongest builds, but you really don't have to go for that build. You can do whatever you want and you're going to be pretty okay. Cuz I didn't use that at all until the end game where I had to. So getting to level 99 in this game is really fucking grindy. So at that point I was like, okay, I need a solo a thing that will literally kill everything in one hit. But otherwise, I pretty much built normally.
So Cameron, we were talking about like our builds. Do you have any like anything that you like, or like, oh, I found this like cool little tech or that I really liked?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like I really like a lot of the way that different characters interact with each other. The reason why I had Lune and CL on, Lune has a move where she like it's I think she just applies fire damage to everybody. And that synergized really well with the way I was playing CL, because there was a move that she did where you hit one person and it applies your Fortel stacks to that person, but it also applies your Fortel stacks to everybody who's burning.
I love that ability.
I tried to get my speed up on Lune above whatever it was on CL, so the rotations would be correct, where I would hit everybody with the burning. CL gets Fortel suddenly on everybody else, and then the next turn on CL, I can use a move where it's like everybody like, expend all Fortel stacks on everybody, and they take heavy damage. And then I just instantly be in Twilight, and then I can rinse and repeat once I'm in Twilight. There's just like so many different ways where characters, like, Mark is really important if you're playing Maël, because a lot of her moves, like, I think that's honestly the way the game tutorializes how to do build crafting is really smart, because one of the first moves you get on Maël in the early game is like a move that does basically nothing unless they've got Mark on them. But she doesn't, I don't think she has.
Oh, Puree, yeah.
Yeah, that one, or Pierce or whatever. She doesn't, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think she has any natural ways of applying Mark herself in her just kit.
She has to use free aim.
Only if you put like free aim, and like it has to be like the ability that's like free aim can also attach a marker.
So it's
20%.
You have to use either Pictos or swords that have the skill for that.
But none of her abilities naturally do it. No.
One of the achievements in the game is literally to do that specific move while they have Mark, and I think it's like one other condition as well. I can't quite remember. It's just nudging you like, hey, everything in this game has a synergy. There is a certain way that you can exploit, and it just gets you to, like, your mind thinking about, like, okay, so if I do this first, especially Lune with the way that her, I can't remember what they call them. The stains, right?
Stains, yeah.
Where you're having to think about, it's not just, oh, which move are they weak to, which ones is the most damage, but can I use a certain move? Like, I was doing that fire move, but that synergized well with, because I was mostly lightning damage on her, is that all of my lightning ones, like, one of them is like, it uses a fire stain, and it will expend that, but it'll give you any color fire stain, which then you can use if you get 3 different stains to do massive amounts of damage on our single target lightning one. Oh god, there's just so many different ways that you can go with all of them. It's ridiculous.
Can I quickly mention the like way I played Lune for pretty much all the game?
Yeah.
Is I'm just gonna call the build like the lottery Lune, which is I had the weapon on her that's like, if you free aim, you get just like a free random stain of any element.
Yeah.
Which is really good for just like building, like, okay, like I just need 4. I just need to complete like the 4 stack. So when I do mayhem, it can break an enemy and it'll do a lot of damage. But eventually you get an ability with her where it's like if you have one of each 4 stains, lightning, earth, fire, water, you do an insane amount of damage. It does so much. And there's more than a few times in this game where I was like, okay, I have red, blue, yellow. I need to hit a green on this next shot if I want to do this ability. And it just like, I hit it and I just heard like the fucking lottery machine, like ding, 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 and start playing.
Yeah. There's a skill called roulette that your attacks will either do 200% more damage or half damage or double damage. That's what I was using for the entire end game on all of my characters. I was just gambling, because especially a lot of what I did was a lot of the skills were multi hits that I would use. So that means that I was always assured at least double damage most times. Unless I got really unlucky.
I love the guy you talk to get that picto.
Oh, the gambler.
What are the guys again?
It's a Gestral. It's the Gestral gambler in the village.
He has like a casino, and everyone's like, this guy's a weird fucking freak because he doesn't want to fight. He just wants to like do his little fucking gambling thing. And you go up and talk to him. And he's like, oh, were you a real gambler? And he's like, okay, if you do this 10 times and if it like comes up heads, you get 200%. And if you get tails, it's 50%. Would you come out, like if you did that 10 times, would you come out even? Would you be ahead or would you be down? And if you like go like, oh, you'd come out even, he's like, what are you, some kind of fucking math nerd? And basically any auction, he'll be like, no, you're stupid. The actual answer you're supposed to give him is, I don't care. I just want to get it twisted.
I just want to fucking
that's a
gamble,
real
baby.
Fucking gambler.
Finally, a real gambler.
The odds.
I love the Gestrals. They're so fucking funny.
They're just idiots. It's awesome.
All right. We've been going on for really long.
Yeah.
We gotta wrap this up, and to wrap it up, let's talk about the endings.
Yes,
there are 2 of. Can I be so bold as to say that there is only one that is correct?
Yes.
I would agree with you, but there is no good ending.
There is no good ending.
I think it's different flavors of tragic.
Yes.
No, I don't know about different flavors of tragic. I feel like one is so unimaginably cruel.
Yeah.
That it kind of ends up being the worst. Should we start with the cruel ending or the...
Yeah, let's start with the cruel ending, which is Mael.
Okay. So Mael is at this point in the game.
Billy's like, wait, what are you talking about? I was talking about
you mean
Verso.
Yeah, I was talking about Verso. What the fuck? No. Mael's ending is, at this point in the game, she's like she's kind of lost it, and she's repeating what her mother has been doing, where she has embraced the painting as her reality, and she's going to do everything in her power to keep living this false life that she created for herself. And meanwhile, Verso, the fake Verso, wants her to move on, and he wants to destroy the painting because he believes that her father, Renoir, is in the right, and that she has to move on and she has to start living for herself, because every year that she spends inside of the painted world is another year she gets closer to killing herself by staying in this false world. The Mael ending, you play as Mael and you fight Verso, and once you defeat Verso, he starts begging for death because he's tired. He's been
let me go to rest. Let me
He's been living for hundreds and hundreds of years. He's been alive for so long, and all he wants is just to rest because he's tired, and he is begging Mael, who silently just keeps him alive. And it's so cruel. It's so disgusting. It feels not good. She undoes every gommage so that everybody comes back to life, which includes Gustave and Sophie and everybody else that passed away during
CL's husband.
CL's husband as well. And the ending shows all of them at the opera house getting ready to hear a concert by Verso. And Verso does not want to do it. He does not want to play, and he is very uncomfortable and horrified of what Maëlle has become. And Maëlle uses her painting powers that have now become ridiculously strong to just straight up force him to play this concert for all of them.
He is basically a puppet.
He's a puppet.
It's also worth noting she has like this line where she's like, if you can get old, will you be happy? And you see him as he's playing the piano, he's like quite a bit older. Like he's actually aged.
Yeah, his beard is much whiter.
And he's got like fucked old people hands.
Yeah. I mean, he's literally shaking as he plays the final song.
But it's like it. I wonder, like, as well, if the reason why Aileen and Maëlle are dying, because like it shows her at the end is like she's being afflicted by the same thing that was afflicting her parents, who were being
one of the most amazing jump scares ever. That fucking scared me. That got me really hard when the aspect ratio changes and it just shows her smiling at the camera creepily with the fucking paint on her face. Ooh, that was a fucking scary little visual. Thanks for that one at fucking 3 a.m.
I wonder, like, if the reason why that's happening to them is because they're in a painting that they didn't paint themselves.
The implication is that being in these paintings is a drain on their life. Because what's his name? Renoir says at some point, he's like, Alicia taught me that for every day you spend in these paintings, there is a price. Like it is costly to just stay in here and never leave. And I don't think the implication has ever been like, oh, you need to stay in your own paintings. I think just being in this world, like, expends energy from however they use these powers. The wife, Alicia, like they say that she's the most powerful of like their family. And even she's like straining to do this. Like she's dying to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And that's why this ending felt very much like when I was given the decision, it's like, do you fight as Verso or do you fight as Maëlle? I was like, I feel like the game is like screaming at me
it's very obvious
to not agree with Maëlle, as tragic as it is. Because I understand where people are like, I really sympathize with Maëlle because like she would have to go back to like a life where like her brother died and she's scarred and can't talk. And I was like, I understand that. Like the game doesn't make it an easy choice, but you know, in the same way as like this is also very Final Fantasy Tactics Advance flavoring, which I appreciated, which is as hard as your real life is, existing in escapism is a fantasy and it's not healthy and it's not dealing with the loss. And that's like literally what Renoir is like saying in his like final boss dialogue as he's going in like his quote unquote villain rant. He's like, this isn't healthy. This isn't moving on. I'm losing my family because we can't deal with Verso's death. And we're all like finding outlets to avoid dealing with it. And it's not healthy. And I'm just like, bro, fucking speak your truth. Like, I'm so on board with you.
It's funny how the entire game he is like the most
he kills Gestral.
Like he's such a horrible, like a crazy villain. He's so evil, and then you learn like, oh, bro's cooking actually. Like he's the realest.
Bro wants everyone to go to therapy and deal with their trauma.
Literally. And I mean, that goes into Verso's ending where he defeats Maëlle and in doing so, destroys the painting.
Can I make one small observation about the like painting thing?
Yes.
So when you get the decision, you're brought into this little like outside world. I'd say I think the implication is like this is like the lowest level of the painting. This is like, oh, like only painters can exist in this little space. And you see this little child at the painting within this world, and it's this little silhouette of a boy that you see throughout the game. Like throughout the game, you see this like little child that just like you talk to it, it'll say a bit of dialogue, and it'll just like move on.
It's always the most cryptic shit ever.
And it's always cryptic. It's always like you need to tell her to move on. Like you need to like it's just like these little implications. Like what was that about? And at some point you like find him in like a couple of places where it's like, oh, like he's trying to deal with like Cleo, which is one of the other sisters who's also kind of involved in this whole thing. And the implication is that this is like the spirit of Verso, and he's now in this spot, and that's why Verso's like approaching it like it's time we wrap this up. Like he's going to like this other version of himself, and it's like we need to stop painting.
He asks him straight up like, you're tired, do you want to stop painting? And then he straight like no doubts about it, the little boy says yes.
Yeah,
he wants to be done.
He reaches out his hand, and Mael like slices them apart of like, no you don't, like we are gonna fight this out. I don't want you to leave.
I think that's one of the parts why that's one of those like obviously the right choice is destroying the painting, because Mael just lost it at that point.
And she's only like arguing from a place of like emotion, not to be like really debate lord about it, but she's like, I'm tired, let's go home and talk about it. And he's just like, we need to deal with this. Like this isn't healthy. Like we need to like stop doing this.
It's not you know, she's doing it, and it's a very understandable, like you don't want to lose someone that close to you, especially when you have a way to still connect with them.
Yeah, it's the biggest. It's like the biggest. The only thing that they have left of Verso is the painting, because he didn't leave much of anything else, and it's his most personal belonging. And it's like
it's literally got him in it. Like it's got him in it. It's got their childhood. You know, Esquie is his childhood toy, I think is like the implication.
I think it was his toy, because Mael, or I guess Alicia, whatever, the real Alicia has the plush in the very ending in the real world. So I think
it's like Billy suddenly like passes away, and we have to hit like delete on Please Stop Talking.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sad.
Why would you delete Please Stop Talking? It was so funny.
We need to move on. Because we need to move on.
We need to move on.
It's part of the healing process.
It's part of the healing process. We're taking your ad rev and fuck you. Verso destroys the painting in his ending, and everybody gets gommaged, and it's heartbreaking to see Monoko and Esquie show a moment of vulnerability, because they are not.
That's when it hit me.
Yeah,
this game is not one of those like, did you cry? It's like, when did you cry? Because there's so many fucking moments.
They come in, and it specifically gets me because Verso like throughout this game has been very like solemn and very like steadfast and like very hard edged. Like you can tell like stuff's like impacting him, but he doesn't let it like show. And then like when he basically like forces Mael out of the painting, Monoko and Esquie walk into scene, and in this like it's like very clear they know it's like, okay, like we're gonna disappear. And they all like gather together for a hug, and just visibly distraught Verso goes, I'm gonna miss you guys. And that's when I just started crying. I was like, oh God, this is so sad.
And like
I'm saying goodbye to these characters. And,
dude.
Yeah.
And then fucking Lune just sits, and she just
sits down, and she's so angry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even Ciel goes up to Verso, and because I don't know if you guys did this, but I romanced her in my game.
Yeah.
So when that happened, because she talks about wanting to see her husband, and now she knows it's over, she's going to just disappear, and she just goes to him. He reaches out, but she doesn't reach back, and it's like, oh man,
yeah.
And Lune is just so fucking. She's like angry at him for killing all of them and getting rid of like. Well, there's a lot of ways to read it.
And again, like it's the idea of like grief and bereavement and, like accepting like, this is the reality of the situation is like some people are going to be a little stubborn about it. Some people are like accepting as like, it is what it is. Some people, might be a little bit distant. Like I like that there's like a complexity in like how all these characters dealt with it. And it circles into the epilogue of this ending, which is the family,
the Descent family. Yeah.
Clea, the mother. Is it the mother
Aline.
That's Elise, or is that the daughter? I'm
no.
mixing up the names.
Aline is
Alicia is
Mael.
Aline is the mother. Alicia is
the okay. That's what I was like. I know they're very similar in A names, but I know I'm mixing them up. And then Renoir looking over Verso's grave, and it's just them kind of all like coming together as a family, like dealing with that mourning. And while it is like a much bitter sweet ending, and like it's like this is the reality of the situation, it's the more healthy version, because it's like, you can only really sit in escapism for so long. And I like that that's the kind of message of the game, is like escapism is nice in terms of like maybe kind of easing the pain a little bit, but at the end of the day, you do still have to face the situation as it is.
Yeah. Also, one thing that kind of destroyed me was on his grave, it says "forever painted in our hearts," and I was like, oh fuck my goddamn life. That's a lot, man. Yeah, it's probably the most affected I've felt by an ending in years. This game's incredible with its storytelling.
I'm also like incredibly interested in where they go next in this universe. There's still like there's so many.
This is setting a high bar.
There's setting a high bar. There's also so many interesting ways they can go with it. I don't expect we'll see any of the expedition people because they're all fucking dead.
I don't want them.
Yeah, I would be so fucking mad if they.
It would take away from this game.
Yeah, it would be. I hate to like again shit on another RPG for making a point. They'd be doing the Final Fantasy 10-2 thing, where 10 original is all about like. Again, death and, dealing with like, loss and, all this stuff. And then 10-2 goes, nah, but what if we brought characters back though? Like, fuck that. Like, I want my boyfriend. Yeah. It's like, I love 10-2. I feel like the theme kind of like
gets muddied.
Somewhat spits in the face of 10. So it's like, I don't want them to do that.
One last thing I want to mention is that the music is...
Oh, wait, how do we not talk about the music?
I wanted to bring it up at the very end because I have a theory that is now being tested by my own brain thinking about it. But I think that Laurent Tessart is the composer for the soundtrack, and this is a big fucking soundtrack. There's like 7 hours of songs, about 154 like different songs and variations on songs depending on if you're in a fight or if you're not in a fight or if it's a more intense version of that fight in that specific. There's a lot. This dude is crazy for having made a soundtrack this meaty, and the singer for a lot of the songs in the game, Alice Duport-Percier, I think, and this is obviously like a theory and I'm not 100% sure, but I think the songs are in the point of view of Maël, because, and I'm going to use specifically the song titled Aline, which is, it sounds like either Maël or Renoir. The more I think about it, I think it might not be in the POV of Maël, because she's kind of, at that point, she's too gone and doesn't understand that it's her mom. It might be Claire, it might be Renoir, but the song Aline goes into, the lyrics are in French, and she's saying like, "Fuis ce tableau maudit, cette toile d'une fausse vie," which literally means like, it's like a plea for her to leave the canvas, because the canvas is just a fake life that she's built for herself. Oh, dude, it's like heartbreaking. And also this song plays very early into the game, because the game is spoiled from the beginning. like the lyrics spoil the entire game, but you're never going to be even able to fucking realize that it was spoiled.
It's only a spoiler
crazy.
for A, you actually know
for
what the spoiler
French
is,
people.
and B, if you speak French.
Dude, it would be really funny though if you played like with French voice actors, the music was just in English. Just to like
That would be so fucking funny.
European version,
my
and it's
God.
all in English.
I will say also, like, I think that the voice acting is superior in the English version, mostly because it has such insane star power.
Crazy.
Like
Charlie Cox is great as Gustav.
Charlie Cox
in that role.
Yeah, it's Gustav.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Ben
And
Starr
Maëlle.
also
Maëlle's
put
great.
Bro,
Yeah, Jennifer
The
English.
actress that plays her.
they all
Yeah.
put their old ass pussy in there. It's fucking crazy how strong that the voice direction.
You are not the first person I know who said the French or the English version's better. No, I know a few
Yeah.
other people
Which
in
is
Montreal that said
crazy.
the same thing.
Because it was it's all dubbed over the French.
No, it's not. I don't
Huh?
think it is.
It-
I don't
I-
think it is.
It is. No, 100%. I watched like a video of the voice actors
The lip
doing it.
the lip syncing
The-
is much better in French, which at least implies that it was built on the French dialogue.
I see.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the mocap was done with the French actors. So in those scenes, they are trying to match the cadence of the French delivery. Obviously, the lip syncing is like different, right? Like it's synced to the English one, but for like the cadence, it's dubbed.
It doesn't feel like it. That's really weird.
No, because they're really good at what they fucking do. Like,
The
they're-
English version is very much superior, in my opinion. But also, like, it's not even to say that the fucking French version is not great, because the French dub is fantastic. It's just that the English dub it's one of the best fucking dubs I've ever fucking heard, I guess, because I deadass thought they did it in English first.
Nope.
Damn,
Pretty sure they did it in French.
that's crazy.
Someone in the comments will correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right.
Oh, dude, I'm sure. Like some of the people will have their theories on the game and where things are gonna go, and I can't wait to read about those, because this game is. We talked about this game for 2 hours, and I feel like I can keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's just so much I want to talk about, and it's just fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, if you fucking amazing game. I give it a fucking solid 10 out of 10. I'm not even kidding. It's just so good. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Minus the platforming. Fuck off.
Genuinely game of the decade contender for me.
Also, just want to say, thank fucking God this game wasn't 90 to like 200 hours. Like,
Oh no, that's one of the best parts. It's like you can finish the game in 20 hours, and if you do the end game, it took me 40 hours to do the plat. That's pretty good.
beautiful. Great amount of time to spend on a game.
It does the best thing you can do in any media. It leaves you wanting more. Like I got to
Exactly.
the end and I was like,
it really does.
I'm hungry for more. I know I'm done with this. I need to put it down, because even just thematically, because again, like that's kind of what we were getting at earlier, is like I did the Verso theme like immediately, and I was like, I feel like I'm kind of almost like disrespecting the point of that ending if I just keep plugging away at in-game content. So I was like, I'm gonna just put it down.
I finished the game and I immediately went into New Game Plus.
Yeah.
It's got the gameplay.
It's got the sauce.
It's got the story.
Got the sauce.
It's got everything that you would want from a game like this.
Yeah.
It's got some sauce. Dude.
It's got the sauce. All right. I think that's where we can end it.
yeah.
Thanks for listening. It's been a very long and winding 2 hours of gushing, but I feel like we gave it a bit more value. I hope we gave it more value than just reiterating gushing that other people have done.
Oh, yeah.
Especially since we did go deeper into the post game, which not a lot of from the reviews I've seen and everything, most people don't really go into those.
Well,
or
it's because
into
it's meant to be like
that.
a consumer review, so you don't really want to like
Yeah.
write about like what your ending choice was.
Yeah, we tried to go as in depth as we could. All right. Well, have a bye.
Have a time.
Have a
Au
time.
revoir.
Au revoir. Mon ami.
Ah, mon ami.
Swim. That's my favorite.
Speed.
Dashing through the sky. That one is always gonna be stuck in my fucking brain because of how much the
much you
end game
hear it.
relies on it. Yeah.